As we know, a lot can happen in 24 hours in Washington.
This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America. And that's coming. That's coming.
Paul Dans, the director of the project housed at the Heritage Foundation, they said will be departing the team, according to a statement from Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation. Now, Kevin Roberts, I've been talking a lot about recently, exposing him as the mastermind behind Project 2025.
The other side doesn't yet know our foundations for what's coming.
He himself, with this push for far-right Christian nationalism, his connections to Opus Dei, this extremist church. And I've posted videos of him making a speech at the CIC and being very specific about the plans for November and how they plan to install these Christian nationalist loyalists and Republican loyalists in these roles in the federal government. So it seems that after the media has finally started the conversation about Project 2025, and certainly Kamala Harris has in her first few days campaigning, it seems that Paul Dans has been scapegoated and sacrificed to give the impression that Project 2025 is not all it seems, because Donald Trump, as we know, in recent months, after the news got out about how serious this plan, this mandate for leadership was, he has been denying any knowledge of Project 2025, despite being photographed with Kevin Roberts, celebrating Project 2025 in various videos, thanking the Heritage Foundation for all their work, saying that the Heritage Foundation has created this blueprint for a future Trump presidency. I mean, the fact that he's denying it is hilarious, and he's not fooling anybody. But nor is this move by the Heritage Foundation to pretend that by sacrificing Paul Dans, who was not really much of a public face of this organization. He's not a great public speaker. He's obviously somebody who was involved, but not to the extent that Kevin Roberts is. And so that's why, to me, this is just a token gesture to give the impression that Trump distances himself from Project 2025, Project 2025 distances themselves from Paul Dans, but actually nothing has changed and everything is carrying on as normal. They're suggesting that the departure of Paul Dans could indicate the project's work is ending or will not be taking such a public role in the lead up to the November election, which is, of course, entirely untrue. They've even recently tried to rebrand it, or Trump has, as Agenda 47. But Donald Trump doesn't have policies of his own. He doesn't read. He doesn't write. He's the front man. He's a useful idiot for these people behind the scenes. And people like Kevin Roberts, they are smart, they are eloquent, they are educated, and they know exactly what they are doing. If you read the document, it's 900 odd pages and available to download as a PDF. I mean, they're not hiding their intentions for what America should look like if Trump were to win. You'll see that the policies are very specific. And they're not just about the first week of Trump's presidency, where they've got these 10,000 loyalist recruits who they're going to put into these government positions. But it's about the entire 4 years. It's about the future of America. And as we know, Donald Trump has basically admitted that if he were to win the election, you would never have to vote again, because the election will be fixed so that he can stay in power. He is the dictator with the ego. He's the despot who cares only for himself. Project 2025 are the nuts and bolts behind his campaign. You know, without Project 2025, Donald Trump is just a showman. He needs the substance, and that's what they bring. As dangerous and as frightening and as dystopian as they are. So I just want you to recognize that this is very much a marketing exercise, a public relations event, where They're saying that, the change was always intended and followed a set timeline. And in fact, Kevin Roberts said, when we began in April 2022, we set a timeline for the project to conclude its policy drafting after the two party conventions this year. We're sticking to that timeline. Paul, who built the project from scratch and bravely led this endeavor over the past 2 years, will be departing the team and moving up to the front where the fight remains. We're extremely grateful for his and everyone's work on Project 2025 and dedication to saving America. Our collective efforts to build a personnel apparatus for policymakers of all levels, federal, state, and local, will continue. So nothing is winding down. Project 2025 continues. One man is kind of taking the heat, and they're hoping that will, they're stupid, aren't they, to think that it's going to stop any of us changing our attitude towards Project 2025 just because Paul Dans is the sacrificial lamb. Project 2025's goals represent generational changes in policy and how the government works that would last far beyond the next presidency. In fact, Kevin Roberts said on Steve Bannon's show recently that the project is building not just for 2025, but for the next century in the United States. He said the project has the left so upset because they've never seen the political right be this organized, this focused, this rational about taking power and actually using it appropriately, as the Constitution says. You see, these people see themselves as Christian warriors. They feel that it's their job to remake the government in Jesus' image, in Donald Trump's image, in the image of a far-right version of Christianity. It's an extreme Catholicism. It is nothing to do with the moderate freedom of religion that you and I enjoy. And this is imposing their religion and their beliefs on everybody else, which is not how the United States operates, but their interpretation of the Constitution is that it is. So they think they are crusaders. They think they're doing the right thing, but they are completely out of step with the majority of Americans and the rest of the world. In the US, we kind of exist in a bit of a bubble here, but trust me, the rest of the world is looking on in horror at the idea that the United States is so close to losing its democracy. And when Trump says you'll never have to vote again, he means it. This is their plan. Their plan is to rig this and every future election in the favor of the candidate of Jesus. And, that is something that I certainly don't want for the United States, and I'm sure you don't either, because freedom of religion is something that we should be able to enjoy, provided we don't impose it on other people.
The critical job of institutions such as Heritage is to lay the groundwork, and Heritage does such an incredible job at that.
I'm Anthony Davis. You can catch me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.